Now, this is going to be a follow-up on a YouTube video that I did called The Return of the Trump Stump. It actually was titled a message, a prophetic word for Donald Trump. I think it's had about 1.5 or 1.6 million viewers. Now, if you've not seen that, it would be good to go back to that for me to give you the foundation of this, because I'm not going to redo the entire teaching. I'm going to do the follow-up, okay? Basically, when I was asking the Lord why Donald Trump was not permitted for those second 4 years, like back-to-back elections, the Lord said, go to Daniel 4 and I'm going to show you something. And I went there. When I say the Lord, you know what I'm talking about, the impression you get in your spirit where you're to read or do something. And it's the story of King Nebuchadnezzar. And I showed, and again, this is in this book called The Apocalyptic Reset, on the return of the Trump stump. But I showed the parallels between King Nebuchadnezzar, who was the ancient king of Babylon in the time of Daniel. And I talked about he built a tower, Trump built Trump towers, and it goes into all these parallels. But yet he was warned by Daniel. He said, King, you've had a dream that your tree, well, I said I wasn't going to say anything about it, but you have a great tree, but the angel came down and cut the tree down and left the stump in the earth, and you're going to be removed from your throne because of pride. And of course, he was removed from the throne for 7 years, and yet he had actually had, this King Nebuchadnezzar had a breakdown during that time. Trump's situation was totally different. He was not reelected. And I'm not going to go into election controversy and all that in 2020. But the idea was that if the pattern fit Nebuchadnezzar, the stump would remain in the earth and he would be either back in politics, leading a party, or could become president again. So now that he has returned and the tree is back on the stump, so to speak, and the tree is growing again the way we see in Daniel chapter 4, here's my question for you. After Nebuchadnezzar took the throne again, if all these Trump parallels are in Daniel 4, he will be back as president. He's been reelected as president, let's say it that way, and will be inaugurated as president. So what was Nebuchadnezzar's reaction after he returned from being out for 7 years and he became king again? All I'm going to do is read this to you, and then I'm going to make a comment which is very interesting. This is Daniel 4 and 34. At the end of days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up my eyes to heaven, and my understanding returned to me, and I blessed the Most High. I praised and honored him that liveth forever, whose dominion is everlasting dominion. His kingdom is from generation to generation. And all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing, and he doth according to his will in the armies of heaven. That means among his angels. And among the inhabitants of the earth. And none can stay his hand or say, what are you doing? So none can look at God when God has done something and say, God, what do you think you're doing? Because he's God and he has control of the kingdoms of the world. This is what Nebuchadnezzar. And at the same time, my reason returned to me, for the glory of my kingdom, my honor, brightness returned to me. All my counselors, my Lord, sought unto me. In other words, the people that he left have come back to him, beginning to work with him. I was established in my kingdom, and the excellency was added to me. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven, all whose works are true, that his judgment, his ways and judgments, and those that walk in pride, he is able to abase. Now this is what I want to read to you, which is when King Nebuchadnezzar came back after 7 years. So if the Trump stump prophecy that I gave based on Daniel, that the Lord gave, I want to say I gave, I hate to say it was the Holy Spirit that gave it, then we see Nebuchadnezzar now, he's been humbled, and he's now talking about God. And he's now talking about giving God the glory and how God helped him to do what he did. This is the amazing thing. The Butler assassination did something, I think. There's no way that you can know that you were that close to having your head blown off that you cannot change. You still have the boldness. You still have the zeal. You still have that, the cutting edge, you might say, where it cuts some people the wrong way. But there's something different. And I heard him say that many people have told me that God spared my life to help America. Now, he still needs protection. I mean, his angels are going to have to work overtime, and I believe that. But he's giving God the glory. It's very similar to what I see here. He's given God the glory for saving his life. He's given God the glory for allowing him to do this. And if I go back to 2016 and look at, when he would give everybody a nickname and he was constantly saying things and tweeting things. And I know he has that tendency of doing that because that's in his personality. But it was different this time. I kept telling my wife, he seems more presidential. He's learned some lessons. And again, I think it goes back to him being removed for 4 years, learning things. Because he even said, when I was elected in 2016, I didn't know what Washington was really like. I was a businessman. He now knows, he now understands, he now knows how to put a team together. And so I think with the help of God, and it's going to take the Lord helping him, strengthening him, it's going to take continual prayer for the leadership in general, whether they be Democrats or Republicans. We need people to come together on certain terms to help the nation, to help the people. Never forget poor people. That's one thing that concerns me about America, how sometimes we reject people because they've come south of the border, but at the same time, we cannot reject poor people. That's a no-no. We can reject the criminals and the people that are murdering, killing, and raping people and get them out of the way. But there's still this compassion that we have to have for the poor, and that's all through the Bible. But let me get off that and go back and stick to the subject. It's real interesting. Now, by the way, so you'll know, this Bible was written years ago, so it doesn't mention anything politically about candidates, nothing. But in Daniel 4, it was real interesting. This is my Old Testament commentary, King James Bible with the commentary in the Old Testament. But all these this has nugget boxes. The dream of the 7 times madness, that's in chapter 4. And then it goes I didn't realize this till I opened this up again. I wrote it, but you open it up again because years goes by. The iron band and the 7 times prophecy, Daniel 4, look at that right there. And that gives the whole commentary on it. So, by the way, we have these in the ministry if you'd like to order that. But let me just say that time will tell, but we have reprieve. I believe there's a part of his heart that has changed, been humbled and given God the glory. And we have to keep praying for all of our leadership. Even Paul lived in the time of the Roman Empire. Man, the Romans were hateful people. The soldiers were brutal. When he got beat with rods, he got, all these terrible things happened to him. But he said, pray for those in authority that he's talking about believers, can have a peaceful life. And I would have to say that most good Americans that are patriotic Americans are people that just want good jobs and be able to raise their family, pay their bills, and enjoy life. And we as Christians want to have the freedom to continue to preach and conduct revivals and meetings and camp meetings and all these great events. So speaking of great events, let me just mention, and give it a thumbs up while I'm talking, that every year we have a Warrior Fest for young people, and then we have our Prophetic Summit, and we have our fall main event. So look into those at perrystone.org and go there for a lot of resource information as well. And speaking of information, stay tuned because we have something we're going to offer you that's very special. And if you learn things from my teaching, I want to see a thumbs up. That's very, very important. I appreciate that. And we've got many, many more amazing YouTube videos that are coming out soon. Thank you. God bless you. Please give me your undivided attention. Many months ago, I began to hear secular economists announce a new global reset was coming. That's when I heard this phrase in my spirit, the American apocalyptic reset. For several weeks, I woke up early and began receiving a series of stunning prophetic downloads that I penned and now have placed them all in my brand new prophetic book, America's Apocalyptic Reset. This book is a must-read for all Christians, for all of those who love Bible prophecy, for conservative Americans and American patriots. The 19 chapters go extremely deep into exposing the agenda now being secretly plotted and to be publicly forced upon us, the American people, and how we can counter it. I discovered some very stunning ancient prophetic parallels and patterns, some that go back 4,000 years, that are repeating themselves in the United States right now. I deal with America's great Babel reset and the planned persecution of Christians, America's self-curse that will eventually bring judgment upon the nation, the coming Jezebel clash, the woman who will be president, how she should react and wisely resist corrupt governments. I reveal the unique Silicon Valley parallels and also go into the plans to bankrupt, then reset America economically. Also, I talk about how to function when the church must go underground. I received a very unique revelation concerning President Trump and a pattern that's found in history. There's a chapter also that I deal with how did the prophets get it wrong, and so much more. Ladies and gentlemen, this is probably the most significant prophetic book in the history of my ministry, especially in the time that we're in. But that's not all. I'm also including my most recent inside information prophetic briefing on 2 audio CDs. It's 2 hours in length, and I will release detailed information that I cannot, and I want you to hear me, I cannot nor will I share this on social media or on television, as absolutely in the climate that we're now in, a lot of this information would be targeted for being blocked and banned if it was made public and not done in this private setting that we're doing it in. These 2 hours contain biblical, political, national, and international revelation and information that I am sure that many of you have not been aware of. It is for truth lovers only. I want you to order right now this prophetic resource package, my brand new book, The Apocalyptic Reset, and the 2-hour prophetic CDs by going online at perrystone.org or calling 1-888-21-BREAD, or write me at Perry Stone, P.O. Box 3595, Cleveland, Tennessee 37320. Now, we're making this available for your donation of $35 or more, and you can request the offer APR-140. That's APR-140. I'm going to unmask the radical globalists and individuals who have set out to oppose and silence Christians, silence patriots, and shut the mouth of conservatives, and we will show you in the book what we can do when we unite together. We are looking forward to getting this into your hands.
If you enjoyed this YouTube content, there's an important website you should know about: perrystone.org. Perrystone.org is an essential resource for the latest books, audiovisual presentations, and digital products from Perry Stone Ministries. Resources that cover the same kinds of topics discussed in the program you just watched. Stop in and see all that's available at perrystone.org.